have to get you to speak on what we're seeing in the Middle East, and your thoughts and your take, historically speaking and personally, on the Gaza-Israel conflict.
So look, I'm obviously Jewish, so my words can be seen as subjective. I try not to be. I try to see it from both ends, and I have many Muslim friends and many people who are in that region. We have our arguments, but we also have our agreements. So look, let me just state this for the record. War and bloodshed is, period, a bad thing no matter what. Doesn't matter whether you're, even if it's your enemy who wants to kill you, you don't celebrate, for example, if you vanquish and win over them. You cry over the fact that there are enemies in this world, and why can't we all live in one brotherhood and one sisterhood, as diverse as we may be? So I cry over the Middle East, personally. I cry over the fact that we have human beings all created by one God, and in many ways cousins. The Muslim Arab world are cousins to the Jews in Israel and around the world. In the Bible, if you talk about Abraham had a home and he had a son called Isaac, or earlier a son Ishmael and then a son Isaac. They were brothers and half brothers, but they were brothers, and they became the respective ancestors of the ultimately what would be the Arab Muslim world and the Jewish world and Israel. So when you see people all created by God and especially brothers fighting in this horrendous way, to me that itself is extremely, extremely painful. And you ask yourself, what can be done? It's easy to point fingers and just blame everybody. And I'm not here to blame one or the other. However, there are also moral lines that you don't cross. There's certain atrocities, I'm not, as much as one can try to justify the Palestinian plight and their suffering, certain things, as a Jew, I can tell you, we also suffered great. 6 million of us were killed 80 years ago. We did not turn it into a force of anger where we went into Germany after the war and when we had power and go ahead and pillage and mutilate and rape and so on. Why not? Because we're less angry? No, because we learn how to channel your anger. And as much as, so I think that unfortunately, lines have been crossed that really create tremendous problems. I, for one, like to believe that we have to have a moral compass. Certain things are just not acceptable. Now, I know someone will say there's two narratives. Some will blame Israel, some will blame Hamas and the Palestinians. I understand, but once we get into that finger pointing, it's no end. Everybody gets either locked into their position and with no communication at all. So there has to be some place. I a few months ago, you may have seen it, I did a video to my Muslim cousins and friends. And I said, what would Abraham, our grandfather, say now? What would he say to me? What would he say to you? I got a tremendous response. I got some hate mail, to be very honest, but I got a lot of positive response from people who you would never expect, Muslims and so on. So I think it's critical to find people who you can talk to. There are haters in all camps. Forget about it. There's almost no way to have a conversation. So you have to choose your battles. I see this as a wake-up call for all of us, yourself, myself, everyone out there. Where do you stand? What are your values like? It should not become politicized and polarized. Anyone that starts demonizing anyone, that's a bad sign. We have to look for that common ground and realize that we're all created in the divine image and we're expected to live up to it. And even if you fundamentally disagree with someone, there are ways how you deal with that. It shouldn't be done through violence or through war, and definitely not through atrocities that were perpetrated, and really do what you have to do. Now, I'm specifically not commenting on the actual war and military strategies. I'm happy to hear about the hostages that were freed and released and I wish all the hostages will be released and we can come back to a place of understanding. But the problem is there are haters that I don't see any room of negotiation with someone that calls for your annihilation. I don't know what to do with that. It's like a non-starter.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the video. What would Abraham say? I'm curious for our audience that may have not seen it. What would he say about this situation?
Well, I think he would cry over his children, that's for sure. But it's interesting. Abraham dealt with it. He dealt, for example, with infidels. There's a city of Sodom, the biblical city that God wants to destroy, and Abraham prays for them. So I always use that. I say to anyone that says, I need to destroy my enemy, I say, why not pray for them? Your grandfather Abraham prayed for them. He did things that were kindness and generosity. Where does this violence come from? Abraham was a man of peace, and he had strong opinions. He had very strong opinions about God, about morality, about kindness. And so that, to me, was the main thing, is to try to reintroduce the Abrahamic vision and Abrahamic expectations. So I don't really understand at all it's one thing people go to war for their own personal interests. But if you're claiming you're fighting in the name of God or the name of Allah or in the name of a higher purpose, where did God say that one should go to war and do things that are so painful to others? The Nazis, for example, they didn't claim they were speaking in the name of God. They actually denied. They were speaking in the name of their Aryan version, their obscene version of life, where anyone that was not them deserved to be either destroyed or enslaved. So that's one thing. But if you're speaking in the name of God, the name of Abraham, you need to follow those guidelines. So that was my main gist.
Yeah, we're truly praying for everyone in that issue. I have to bring it a little home as we deal with this political year and what we're seeing here. How I guess, what are your thoughts on this run? And obviously, you don't have to declare who you're I guess vouching or voting for, but overall, what is this political climate telling us about what is happening with us as a society?
It's sad commentary. What should I say? First of all, regardless who you are for or against, there are people who love Trump, people who hate Trump, people who are for Biden, people against Biden. Why there cannot be a conversation where people don't get into character assassination and personalization or canceling the other? To me, I cannot understand, because to me, I can have a conversation with you. We may have very different opinions on matters. I mean, nothing came out today, but I still see you as a human being. I see you, not only that, you have the right and the legitimacy and the dignity to share your thoughts. And I may disagree with you and we can discuss it, but that it spills over into this personalization is, to me, it's what I feel is like we've turned into gladiators who want blood. I think the media is entertainment. And I have a very negative view of how people are exploiting the situation for their own gain. If there's no entertainment, I was told by a major media entity who wanted to interview me with someone else, two opinions. And they said, unless you're ready to yell at the other person and call them a name, they don't want me on TV because people are looking for blood. Come on. That's where we're at. So it's like a gladiator type of situation where people like wrestling. So I find that to be the lowest common denominator that we're gravitating to. So taking it back to the political arena, I always say, I remember a few years ago, I gave a talk, a big talk. It was a big audience, and half the audience were pro-Trump, half were anti-Trump. And I said, how do you think I'm going to get out of this conversation, this talk today, without alienating at least half of you? Because you can't do both, And I was able to actually not alienate anyone, because I said, I am pro-God. I don't care about Trump or Biden. I care about what God wants. He wants us to live in peace. He wants us to understand each other. He wants us to use our diversity to become more united. We say e pluribus unum is on our currency. What does it mean? From the many, one, that there are many, and we're not silencing anyone. So from my point of view, it's not about one or the other. I don't see them. They're just characters in the game. I see it as, what are our higher values? The founding fathers wrote into the Constitution, and I like to use the word, all people are created equal. Okay? And that means everyone, black and white, Jew, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, atheist, agnostic, whatever, the whole list. All are created equal. All have inalienable rights endowed to us by our Creator. That, to me, is the foundation of everything else. Now, you may have different political views. Fine, let's argue it out. So let's discuss it. We have a government. We have three branches. We have the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, and let's work it out. And to me, that's the key focus of everything. Are there things about Trump I dislike? Yes, absolutely. Are there things that I think he can be refreshing? Yeah, he sometimes could be his own worst enemy. Biden, good man. Is he aging, and does he have issues with that? That's a problem. But the problem I see here is that the polarization is destroying us. We can't, everything is, you're either in this corner or in that corner. Why can't we be a little more gray? Not everything's so black and white, So I find that the polarization of it all is really most disturbing to me. And it's turning into cowboys and Indians. I know people who love the Boston Red Sox and people who hate them. People who love the Yankees and they hate the Red Sox. People who love the Red Sox and hate the Yankees. Why it should be love and hate, I don't really fully understand. But I guess it's part of getting people's, emotions stimulated to pay money to support one side or the other. That part I'm very cynical of. The bigger picture is I'm bullish on America, and I think that the United States principles in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence will outlive all of these people. And if they merit, maybe they'll do a service to us all. And if they don't, we'll outlive them and then we'll move on. That's my general attitude.
Yeah. You said you're pro-God, and I love that statement. And I kind of want to see if I'm interpreting it correctly, because I look at the pro-God, and I agree with you, the pro-God as just being pro-love, because that's what God is. Many look at it as the doctrines, which can vary so much depending on where you're from, or what religious background you have. Would you say that the common thread that we need to incorporate as it pertains to this, just our society in general, is love? And how do we, I guess, express that in our everyday life?
Well, when I say pro-God, I just want to make it clear. I'm not talking about religious or a particular religion. I'm talking about a force that the founding fathers talk about, a force that's greater than all of us. I'm speaking to you right now, and myself were both created by this higher force. And bringing it into our lives, number one is humility. I'm not a self-made man. No one is self-made. We're all here. A certain sense of humility, of the blessing called life, a need for gratitude, a need for realizing that it's not all about me, and my control and my power and my money, my ownership, but it's about also that ability to realize that we complement each other. I always love the musical analogy of a orchestra, different instruments, different musicians. When it's coordinated, they're harmony within diversity. They create music. So music is really different. Every one of us complementing each other. When one plays, the other gets enriched. And when you play, all the others are enriched. So both you're necessary, but you also need everyone else. So to me, that's bringing God into our lives. It's that element of humility, of understanding higher purpose, understanding the opposite of God, frankly, is selfishness. That's what it comes down to. It's either narcissistic selfishness about me, or it's about something greater than myself. I don't want to sound overly simplistic, but it really comes down to those two choices.
So good. As we begin to prepare to end our conversation, back to this idea of a personal mission, and you talked about this greater purpose or higher calling. You have a formula for defining personal mission. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So I created a formula. It's called POP plus P plus H equals M. I'll spell it out. So the POP stands for, when you look at your personality, P. O is for opportunities. The second P is for people. And the final P is places. So if you look at your personality, the opportunities that have come your way, the people you know, the places you've been to, and you add to that another P, your passion. And then H is for higher calling, meaning something greater than yourself. Helping others, volunteering, it could be in any field. Equals M, you'll find your mission. So in other words, your mission is a combination of your skills, talents, and your unique opportunities, plus your passion, plus something greater than yourself. That's your calling and mission in this world. And I've used it, and people have really been able to definitely begin, and some have actually defined their mission. I'll just use myself as an example. When I was a teenager, I came to realize I had communication skills, writing, and so on. And ultimately, that's what it evolved into, my mission till this very day, and it's 60 years ago. That my mission is to use my writing and communication skills and my human interactions to try to help people find their mission, to find their soul, to find their calling. And that's what I do. That drives everything I do. So my mission is a combination of my skills, my opportunities, and my passion, and driving it toward a calling that's beyond just me and my own needs. And that has become my life mission. I think every person applies that formula, you'll begin to find a deeper sense of your own life, a meaningful life.
So good. And your mission is obviously demonstrated through your book, Toward a Meaningful Life, and the organization that you head up. Talk to us about this organization and the things that you offer in your community.
Yeah. So our website is meaningfullife.com, where you can find a wide array of materials, both video, text, audio, and for different audiences, different topics. I really cover the entire spectrum of life and try to help you find whatever area of life you're dealing with, whether it's positive things, whether it's challenging things, whether it's joy or pain, and try to find deeper meaning in it all and come away with a deeper sense of purpose. And we offer a lot of material. Most of it is free. There is some paid stuff, but most of it is free. You could subscribe to anything. We have a very robust YouTube channel, also Meaningful Life Center, Simon Jacobson, where we offer videos on an ongoing basis. And I invite you to check it out.
Yes.
And if you like what you see, you can subscribe and you can participate. And I always like to put it that way. This is a joint effort. We are all partners in this exercise called life.
Yeah. For sure. As we prepare to get out of here, Rabbi, give us a word of wisdom as it pertains to just life in general, whether people are dealing with fear, anxiety, depression, or looking at the state of our world and not being able to find meaning and purpose. Give us a little wisdom that we can take away.
The difference between a good swimmer and a bad swimmer or an average swimmer is not the fact that a good swimmer will never have any storms to face. They both set out swimming in, let's say, into some unknown waters. And then a storm comes. So the bad swimmer will fight the storm and not know how to navigate and ultimately get exhausted. And who knows what can happen. A good swimmer will navigate, will learn maybe it's time not to fight the tide. So the key to life is to navigate life. Life is with many ups and downs. You cannot fight the times when there's a down moment. You have to learn to navigate through it. And like a turning wheel, it will go through many, many cycles and stages. To look at the big picture, the narrative, just like a movie, don't get stuck in one frame. The movie continues on. So the key is to learn tools to navigate. In other words, we don't control the circumstances of our lives, but we control what we're going to do about them. We were hit with COVID a few years ago. Today, we live in a world with wars and upheavals and uncertainties. Some things we cannot control, but we can control our attitude. And our attitude has to be one that we have all the strength we need to navigate through it. You have that strength, and that strength is born into you. You just have to access it. I'll use Michelangelo's great line when he was asked, how do you sculpt those beautiful angels in the marble? And he answered, I saw the angels trapped in the marble, and I carved and set them free. You have an angel and a flower and music within you, but sometimes it gets trapped in the marble or in concrete or in other materials, and you have to carve away. It's all there within you. Find good friends, find spiritual exercises that can help release that angel within you, and you can shine. And finally, Oliver Wendell Holmes has this, I call very tragic poem. It's called The Voiceless. And he begins, alas, to those that die with their song still inside them. Alas, to those that die with their song still inside them. You have a song inside you to sing. You need to build the courage and the strength to sing your song. Your song is not my song. Sing your song. You were born an original. Don't become a copy.
So good. Rabbi, I appreciate you taking the time to join me. Listen, everyone, check out Simon Jacobson on YouTube, and please check out the Meaningful Life Center. You will not regret it. Rabbi, I appreciate you taking the time, and I wish you all the best in this day and rest of this week.
Thank you, and thank you for the great work you're doing. You know, it's a perfect example. You're using your skills, your opportunities to reach through the airwaves many people, and may you continue to inspire and empower people all the time.
Thank you so much. Have an awesome day, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey guys, thank you for joining me for my conversation with Rabbi Simon Jacobson. Listen, if that has helped you in any way, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you back here same time, same place next week. Take care.